What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here, as always, on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams. Happy Tuesday, and today we're going to take a look at the Stephen King miniseries film, Salem's Lot, starring David Soul, James Mason, Lance Kerwin, Bonnie Bedelia, Lou Ayres, Ed Flanders, Fred Willard, Julie Cobb, and Reggie Nalder. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I send the introduction, it's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. And we're going to take a look at the film that should have been reviewed yesterday, Salem's Lot. And our movie opens at a church in Guatemala, where a man and a boy, Ben Mears and Mark Petrie, are filling small bottles with holy water. When one of the bottles begins to emit an eerie supernatural glow, Ben tells Mark that they have found us again. Knowing that an evil presence is nearby, they decide to stay and fight it. Now, 2 years prior, Ben Mears, a successful author, returns after a long absence to his small hometown of Salem's Lot, Maine. Mears intends to write a book about the Marston House, an old, ominous property on a hilltop which has a reputation for being haunted. After attempting to rent it, Mears finds out that it has already been purchased by another new arrival in town, the mysterious Richard Straker, who is in the process of opening an antique shop with his oft-mentioned but never-present business partner, Kurt Barlow. So instead, Mears ends up renting a boarding house in town ran by Eva Miller, develops a romantic relationship with a local woman named Susan Norton. He befriends Susan's father, Dr. Bill Norton, and reconnects with his kindly former school teacher, Jason Burke. Mears tells Burke that he feels that the Marston house is somehow inherently evil, recalling that its original owner, Hubie Marston, was implied to be a child molester and committed suicide there. Mears further recalls a traumatic childhood incident in which he broke into the home on a dare and saw Hubie's ghost. After a large crate is delivered to the Marston house one evening, townspeople begin to disappear or die under strange circumstances. Mears and Straker are both the main suspects due to the fact that they are both new in the town. But it eventually becomes clear that the crate contained Straker's business partner, Kurt Barlow, an ancient vampire who has come to Salem's Lot after sending Straker to make way for his arrival. Straker kidnaps a young boy named Ralphie Glick as an offering to Barlow, while Barlow himself causes a local realtor to die of fright when he appears. Ralphie then returns as a vampire to try to claim his brother, Danny. After his funeral, the undead Danny infects a gravedigger named Mike Ryerson and attempts to prey on one of his school friends, Mark Petrie. However, Mark is a horror film buff, and he manages to repel Danny with a crucifix. As the vampirism spreads, Mears, Burke, and Dr. Norton gradually realize what is happening to the town, and they attempt to stop it. Mears is attacked by Ralph and Danny's presumed dead mother, Marjorie Glick, after she revives on a mortician's table, but Mears defends himself using a makeshift cross. Mark's parents are both killed by Barlow, although Mark escapes with the assistance of a local priest. Burke, however, suffers a severe heart attack following an encounter with the newly vampirized Ryerson. Seeking revenge for his parents' death, Mark breaks into the Marston house, and a concerned Susan follows him inside, but both are soon captured by Straker. Later, Dr. Norton and Mears enter the house where Straker kills Norton by impaling him on a pair of antlers before he himself is fatally shot by Mears. Afterwards, Mears and the freed Mark find Barlow's coffin in the cellar and destroy him by driving a stake through his heart. While fleeing the other vampires in the house, the two set fire to the Marston property as they leave, although Susan is nowhere to be found. While the house burns, the wind carries the fire towards the town itself. As he and Mark drive away from Salem's lot, Mears comments that the fire will drive all the vampires from their hiding places and purify the town from the evil that has engulfed it. The story returns to Mears and Mark at the church in Guatemala 2 years later. It becomes clear that they are on the run from the surviving Salem's Lot vampires, and their bottles of holy water glow whenever a vampire is nearby. Realizing that they have been tracked down yet again, Mears and Mark return to their lodgings to collect their belongings. Once there, Mears finds Susan lying on his bed. Now a vampire, she prepares to try and bite him, and as he leans down to kiss her, he instead drives a stake through her heart and destroys her. A grief-stricken Mears then leaves with Mark, knowing that the vampires will continue to pursue them as our movie comes to its close. The movie was good, but I felt like it was too long. And I know that may sound strange as we get deeper into the Stephen King lore and we get deeper in the month, because we've got things like It, which was also a two-part miniseries to discuss also. And I don't think that's too long. I think what did it for me in this one and why I felt this was too long is I felt like it took way too much time for us to get to our first appearance of Kurt Barlow. I've never seen this in the two-part, way it was meant to originally be seen, because this was on TV in like 78 or 79 originally. So I would have been 2 or 3 years old. Way too young to watch it at that point. And the only way I could find it to view it in order to watch this was on Vudu streaming, where I had to pay $2.99, and they showed it as one full 3-hour film. Things like It, which I own on DVD, I own on Blu-ray, hell, I even owned that on VHS. It was 2 VHS tapes, part 1, part 2. The DVD was part 1 on one side, part 2 on the other side. So watching this all in one part, it feels to me like we didn't even get Barlow until the second half of the show, the second half of the movie. So it would have been the second episode in the miniseries, or at the very least, we didn't get him until the final seconds of the first part. That means we went an hour and a half before we even got our vampire. And I feel that's too long. I enjoyed the backstory. I enjoyed building up the mythos of it. I enjoyed, teasing this Barlow creature and what was he going to look like? When was he going to appear? But I felt like it took way too long to deliver. And then once we got to the second half of the story, I feel like things went way too quick. Okay, now we've gotten him. Now everything's like boom, 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 boom. And it's like whoa, I barely processed what happened 45 minutes ago, and now you're hitting me with all this shit. So I think pacing was definitely out of whack with this. I probably would have chopped a good half hour out of this movie personally. And maybe it would have made things flow a little bit better. We could have still had some of that backstory. We could have still waited a little bit for Barlow's appearance, but instead of waiting an hour and a half, maybe only wait 45 minutes or wait an hour out of 2.5. That I think would have been more reasonable. Other than that, I thought the movie was fun for a vampire movie. It's still not going to replace Dracula 1931 as my favorite vampire movie. It's going to be hard pressed for anything to replace that if we're being real. But as far as vampire movies go, I'd rather rewatch this than Twilight. So, I thought it was good, not great. Thought it was too long. Maybe it's because it was a mini series originally. Maybe it's the way I viewed it all as one movie instead of having the breakups like I had over a number of years when it came to movies like It. But that being said, I'm going to give Salem's Lot 3.5 out of 5 stars when it comes to my rating of it. Again, I thought the story was well done. I thought the acting was well done. I thought the way it started and ended in Guatemala, and then we kind of jumped back to see what happened in the time that kind of led us to that position. Thought all that was handled good. My biggest complaint is how long it took for us to get to Kurt Barlow, our vampire. What do you guys think, those of you that have seen Salem's Lot? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And make sure you guys tune in later on this evening, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, as we once again open up the doors to Stat Boy Sports Bar featuring Dory Lou. The food is hot, the beer is ice cold, and the seats are warm, so pull yourself up a bar stool and engage in some professional sports conversation with your barkeeps, Stat Boy Mike and Dory Lou. Special start time this evening, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. And then tomorrow, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, we'll be back with another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews as we take a look at the movie that was supposed to air today, and we discuss The Shining, starring Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, Danny Lloyd, Scatman Crothers, Philip Stone, Joe Turkel, Barry Nelson, and Lisa and Louise Burns. You don't want to miss out on any of that content right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. Stat Boy Sports Bar featuring Dory Lou, The Shining, and so much more in store for you this month as we do our 31 days of Stephen King films right here on Renegades Reviews. So make sure you smash that like button, make sure you subscribe, make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Stat Boy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, pay-per-view PLE watch-along coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life, fans of Stephen King movies, fans of horror movies, fans of vampire films. Anybody you can think of that would enjoy this content in this video, share it with them, as it's the only way we're going to keep my visibility up in YouTube's algorithms now that we are in fact a monetized channel right here on the platform. Thanks again to everybody out there who joined me and tuned in today. It means so much more to me than you guys will ever know. I will see you guys next time.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.